Hey everyone, this is David Rauschuber from The Strongest Root. Today we're going to build a rainwater collection system off the side of the house. It's going to be two steps. I'm going to build it today, and then in another video I'm going to pipe it over here to the garden. It's going to be about 160 gallons, so this ought to be a fun project. I'll go step by step. I'll try to explain myself as I go, and hope you get something out of it. So let's get going. Okay, so we're on the side of my house. We're going to build this water reclaiming system or water collection system from this side of my roof. It's very large. It's probably 50-60 feet long on this side. The downspout is here by the window. One of the things we got to do is I need to level it, and the ground here is slightly raised. I've got my stones. I've already got all of my materials picked out and done. My barrels are here, so I've got all of those ready to go. I've got all my connections for my barrels. I've got all my wood together. So one of the things I recommend though when you do a project like this is to take a week or two. You know, I draw everything out, take a lot of good notes. Hopefully you can see that it's going okay, but I make a bill of materials, cut materials. So, you know, I think it's very helpful to measure 3-4 times and only cut once, because if you cut more than once, you're going to spend some money. Thank God the air conditioner turned off. So hopefully you can hear me better. But, you know, so this should go pretty smooth. It's a fairly simple setup. I'm going to stack 3 barrels here sideways. So I'm going to cut that material down and get that going. But first I've got to level this ground. I'm going to put a 4x4 concrete slab here. It's not a slab, it's pre-casted concrete fittings. So I'm going to level this off, get that done, and that'll be where I put my barrel system. And so should be pretty straightforward. It's hotter than heck here. If you've been watching the news, we're in North Texas. We've had a tremendous amount of rain, so this is kind of an ironic project. But in another month or so, we won't have all of that rain. And so anyway, this is the first phase, so I'm going to build this during this video. And in the next video, I'm going to pipe it. Let's see if you can see. You can see where my arbor is over here. So I'm going to pipe it from here down and around. This area is higher than the garden area, so everything should flow nicely downhill. I'm using 2-inch fittings at the start. I'll probably use a 1-inch pipe to go down through the deck and to the other side of the garden. So a total of 160 gallons altogether. It's a tremendous amount of weight. I think it's something like 1,600 pounds of water. So I'm going to use 4x4 materials, heavy. I'm going to use some metal brackets to brace them. So we should be in good shape. So just got to get started. So okay, so this is where we're at so far. So, you know, it's going to be important here to get this area level, because that thing's going to be 8 feet tall. So it's going to be right underneath that eave. So we need it to be stable and should be able to hold the weight, because you can see the size of the barrels are quite large. And for those of you that drink coffee to go from a local store or a coffee dispensary somewhere, these are all former espresso coffee holders. So they make bulk coffee. This is what goes in the back of the store. I guess they hook up their pipes to it, and it comes out to the other end where they serve you your coffee. Okay, so we got it nice and level. This is a 4-foot by 4-foot square. Eventually, my long-term goal is to concrete or put these paved stones all the way down the side here and all the way down my other side here to the left. Just because I can't grow any grass here, it washes out all the time. So next part is to start getting our wood organized and get this thing framed up. So based on my drawings, I'm going to pre-mark my ones that go up and down, so that when I start assembling, I have lines. So what I've done is I've taken my wood, I've got it all nice and parallel and square. I'm going to take my planogram and start marking where my cross braces are going to go up to hold the barrels. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm working by myself, and I got a nice level 90 degrees straight here. So when I'm messing with it here, all I got to do is go to the lines. So you learn little tricks when you're doing projects by yourself, but it's no big deal. So the first line, I want the barrel to be 10 inches off the ground. So, you know, I'm just going to take my square. I'm going to find 10 inches, and make my mark. Come over with my square, square it up, make my mark from there. Now my second mark, according to my chart here, needs to be about 24 and a half inches. So that's my first block will go here. So I need 24 inches, 24 and a half from that mark, because that'll be where the next cross goes. So I'm gonna make my mark here at 24 and a half, like that. Come over here, make sure everything's square, and make my mark. So I'm just gonna do that. I got 3 more braces to put in. Then I'm gonna take these, put them up against the wall, cut my material that goes in between them, then start assembling. Okay, so I've got all of my pieces cut out now. So now it's a matter of assembly. I've got my lines drawn. Kind of, I guess, didn't measure everything completely properly, but that top barrel is going to be right underneath that elbow. So I'm going to have to figure out where I'm going to put my water inlet. I think I'm going to do it right at the top of that elbow. That's going to be about the top of that barrel. So I just basically flipped my design upside down. So I'm not going to have it as high off the ground as I wanted to, but I think ultimately it'll be okay. So now that I get everything cut out, it's time to start assembling. All right, now that I got all my wood cut, I'm going to start assembly. So because of the weight of the barrels and the weight of the water, instead of just using screws going through the wood, I went and bought a series of brackets. These are going to go where the 4x4 is set, and then the barrels will sit here so that the weight is on the metal so it doesn't pull the screws through. So that's quite a bit of weight, so concerned about that. And I'm going to use these side straps for the cross beams that go this way. They're not really holding a ton of weight, but it is holding it together. So I want to make sure that that connection is strong. So, you know, I drew those lines in the beginning, so this will go up against those lines. So I'm going to put one at every single line, and then I'll start putting it, put the cross members in, and we'll get the frame done. So that's the next step. Okay, so we've got the frame done. So it's all pretty good. I'm going to put probably a couple more braces in here, but to give you an idea of what's going on. So this is our barrel. And so the barrel is going to sit in there like that. So we'll have 3 barrels now, and I'll link them all together. We'll have our hose and our pipe that eventually goes out to the garden. So that's going to be it for today. It's been a hot one. Ready for a break, and we'll jump back on it in the morning, because when I finish it, I'm going to have wood here and here, and I'm going to paint it the color of my house so that you can't see it from the road, and it looks like it's part of the house. So it's nice and clean and should be great. Excited to have it this far already. Okay, so we've got it done. Got the barrels in place. Next thing I'm going to do is I got wood I'm going to close this all in. But before I do that, I've got to hook the gutter to this top barrel. And so how I'm going to do that is I found this little kit. It's really neat. If you can see, it's got a hole in the middle. It's got edges around here that get the water. So this folds up, slides in there. I've got a tool to cut that. And so what that does is that then drains into this tube. This tube goes into the back of the barrel. And when it overflows, because it's got the hollow in the middle, that's the back valve. So as the water comes back up, it just drips in, goes back down the gutters and out. So also what I've got to add to the whole mix is a gutter screen. So make sure the filter so we don't get leaves and stuff in, I bought this little screen. This will sit down inside the top of the gutter up there, and that'll keep the leaves that come from the trees around coming into the gutters from going into the system. And I'll eventually put a screen too before the next rain on the end of the water inlet, a little bit finer screen so that the asphalt and stuff that comes off the roof on the first part of the rain doesn't get into the bottom of the barrels. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to just go ahead and hook that up, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. So you can see I made the connection. So one of my errors of my design here is this is way taller than I thought it was going to be. And because of that, I'm going to lose about 30% of that top barrel, which is unfortunate, but you know, we have the rest of it here. So we're going to go ahead and enclose this, wrap it in. This is what it's looking like so far from the front. Quite happy with where this is going. So top one is sealed. We'll get into the plumbing in just a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and wrap the rest of these sides first. So next step. All right, so really happy with the way this is finishing out. I got all my wood up, it's all solid. So now from the street, I'm going to paint it this color. When it's complete, I've got to go find the paint. Painted the house a few years ago and don't have the can anymore, so I'm going to have to figure out how to match it, go get some paint swatches, but you get the idea. So the tube is coming in, it's going to feed the barrels are going to self-feed them. We're going to get ready to do the plumbing next, but anyway, so you got the idea. It is incredibly rigid with all the extra support and all the extra wood, and the 4x4s on the inside should have no problem holding the weight. So now let's go handle the puzzle that is getting all of this looped together. I'll explain here in just a second. So one of the most aggravating parts of this whole build was figuring this out. So what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, I guess I should say, I spent about 30 minutes, 45 minutes in the plumbing aisle at the local hardware store, trying to figure out all the mix and match components. So since we took this out, this is going to screw in. And then this is going to go like this. All right. And then from there, we'll have one that matches. It goes like that. And we'll cut down, this is all 2-inch pipe. So we'll cut down our pipe to make that connection. So the water's coming in on the back. And remember, I'm only using about this much of the barrel because of the height. I didn't realize my height was such an issue. So that will fill up, or as it fills into here, it drains in, drains in, drains in. And then we'll have our water out right there, and we'll feed that. But temporarily, I am going to just put a faucet on it. That way we can just come out here and get water as we need it until I get it piped in. It's going to rain here in about 2 days, and it's supposed to rain for 3 days, so it should be no problem filling this system up with that amount of rain. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go ahead and get these fittings into place and kind of tidy this up, because what I'm ultimately going to do, I'm going to paint all of the wood to match the house, but all the plastic I'm going to paint in flat black so that it looks clean. Even from the golf course looking this way, it looks nice. It doesn't have these blue barrels, which can, I think, be an eyesore. My neighbor is very nice. Doesn't seem to be an issue. They think it's actually great. They enjoy the gardening. So let's get it done. Okay, so I've got my fittings on. Everything's plumbed up, ready to go. Added an extra strap, so now those barrels are locked in. They're not going anywhere. Really happy with the way it's turning out. So yes, I'm going to cement this in. There's no doubt about that. So this will all get glued up and finished. So that will be the next project, and get it painted up. So that's what it looks like from this side. And like I said, I'm going to paint it to match the house. So it just looks like a structure that's part of the house. So as it comes around, nicely finished out all the way to the top. Looks good. Plumbing's in place. And we can get over on this side. So it's all looking really good. Really happy with it. So I added a on and off valve. I got smart. I figured out that, once this thing's full of water, I'm not going to be able to pipe it unless I have a main on and off valve, or I'm going to lose 160 gallons of water, and I don't want to do that. So I added that in. So I'll put a little faucet on the end of that temporarily. or just leave it like that. We can pour right into a bucket from there. And now we will just wait for the water. So I hope you really enjoyed this episode. This was a fun project to do. Been wanting to do this for a while. We like using rainwater with all of our plants and flowers, and having access to a large quantity would be great. I have 2 more barrels. When I bought these, I bought 5 total. The idea is the other 2 will go on the other side of the house and eventually get those plumbed in. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode. This, like I said, this was a fun one for me, figuring out how all this goes together and, working out the structure and getting all of that done. It's just very rewarding and it's fun. So I hope you got something out of this episode. I hope you subscribe and like and share with your friends. So we'll see you on the next one.